Well, here we are at Yates American B244.
I was evaluating the lift shafts and the riser nuts, or the nut plates, for cleaning up, and I noticed that the threads on the lift shafts are very worn. When you compare them to unworn threads down here at the base, they are very worn. In addition to the worn threads on the lift screws, I may have pointed this out before, but someone tried to lift the machine with a forklift, and they wiped the threads on these things with forklift forks. So they didn't know what the heck they were doing, and they messed up these threads. So here we are at my friend Dick Kite's shop. I'm machining one of the riser screws now. Here we are on the final pass, just taking a few thousandths off. In preparation for threading, I want to chamfer the end of each rod. So cutting the keyways now for the top gears. I'll call that a good fit. I'm once again over at my friend Dick Kite's place. I'm cutting threads on some new riser shafts. I've got just a couple more, maybe a few more passes to make to complete these threads. Okay, I think that was my last pass. I'm about to start the shaft with the left-hand thread. I've been using these Kennametal top-notch threading tools for the threading, and they worked out pretty well. For the left-hand threading, everything is set up pretty much the same, except for there's a left-hand threading cutter, and then the carriage travel is going to be from left to right instead of from right to left. In addition, the compound rest needs to be set 29 degrees to the left instead of 29 degrees to the right. For this first pass, I'm just going to barely scratch the surface. Here we are after a few passes. I'm just going in 3/1000 for each pass now. Okay, this should be the last pass. It's been chattering a little bit here on this one section. I think the shaft is just flexing a little bit. With the riser shafts finished, I'm ready to thread the nut plates. This particular nut plate and another one just like it is from one of the J180s that had a smaller shaft, so I'm able to bore out the hole to the larger diameter that I'm using for the new riser shafts. Because of the orientation of the compound rest, I'm going to do the left-hand threads first because I'll be advancing the compound rest outward. So I've got the feed screw in reverse. I've got the thread pitch set. This first pass should just be a scratch. I had a couple of tight test fits and I took just a tiniest little shaving off. That's pretty good. I'm putting a little chamfer on the top and bottom of the nut plate. Well, finishing these riser shafts and nut plates is a pretty significant milestone. The threads on the original shafts and nut plates are so worn that there's hardly any engagement at all. These new riser shafts are 1 3/8 in diameter, whereas the originals were 1 1/4 inches. And then these nut plates are from one of the J180s that I worked on. These nut plates don't have any spanner wrench holes like that. So I'm going to need to drill some spanner wrench holes. And then one last test of the thread fit. Thanks again for joining us for Yates American B244. It shouldn't be too long before we start putting some things back together again.